And we are live. I don't even know where to start with this one. I just want to say that I'm happy that we are back in the studio with the We Are Soccer gentlemen. It's been a while, but obviously the USMNT brings us back together. So Craig, Brooks, how are you guys?
We're doing all right, man. How are you? We'd be better if USA had actually got something out of that game, but, we'll talk about that. We're good. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Like you said, it would be nice if the result was one where I could be a little more chipper.
Yep.
I'm not as chipper as I thought I was going to be at halftime. We'll get into that, like you said. But Mila, hey.
Hello.
Yeah. So we got our pants pulled down in the second half there. 5-2 is the final scoreline in a game where I thought we were really good in the first half and just totally the wheels fell off as quickly as they were on, which is kind of a sad sentiment to get into. But where do we want to start this post-match reaction? Do we want to start half by half? Do we want to just talk about the scoreline in general? Where are your guys' feelings at?
Can I jump in and just say right off the bat how disappointed I am in U.S. soccer as a whole? The crowd, to me, I know it was announced 66,000 showed up. There was no way there was 66,000 inside that facility. You could see empty seats everywhere. So I'm very disappointed in the fans for not showing up because we only have a couple games left before we come out for the World Cup. And I was really hoping, and I got to be very honest, I thought about actually flying down there. I was like, this would be a great opportunity to see Belgium against USA. What a game to support the boys and fly down there. But I couldn't get the time away from the family and work, so I opted out. But no one else apparently wanted to go, so very disappointed in that. Very disappointed in U.S. soccer as a whole for putting it into that stadium. Disappointed in the fields. This was not a good showing in any way whatsoever, and I haven't even gotten to the soccer yet. Disappointed in everything right now. I am so sorry to bring the negativity here.
No, there's not going to be a lot of positivity. I don't think. I don't know how you could. We got smacked. And to your point, this federation has had more than enough time. Look, 66 days, and that doesn't sound like a lot. That's a lot of time. In the quote unquote, what they captioned it as the soccer capital of the U.S. So if you're going to name Atlanta as your soccer capital, they better have a full fucking crowd. Like, I don't know how we can go through this every single window, whether you're overpricing our fans, right? So the people that are there can't afford it. 2, you're not building enough hype around it. Like, this should have been, there was just another team. Maybe it was Colombia. Someone played in Florida and there wasn't a single seat available. Like, they were having issues with people coming in. Yeah. So the fact that the home team can't get a full crowd against Belgium, like Kevin De Bruyne and Doku played in this matchup. Like, even from the idea of marketing other stars, we can't even do that, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, when you put something in Florida, just for the South American and Central American population, it's like you guys out in California, you put a Mexico team out in California somewhere, it doesn't matter. Like, they're showing up, and it's just rough. Like, you put it in a football stadium, you say there's 66,000, like, it's like 2 people, then 2 open seats, then 1 person, then a couple open seats. Like, that's what it looked like. And, you can try to color the seats and make it look different and whatnot. But in the reality, like, you could tell the hype just wasn't there with the fans and the supporters and everything. And it was rough. It was rough. But listen, I'll be a positive person here. I'll do the positive. There is some positive things I thought that were good takeaways, to be honest with you. For the fight for the first half, like, and they should, I thought they were on the front foot. They did decently well. And I thought that we could sit back and we could be okay with let them having the ball. Like, it was so different with Berhalter that we didn't want to sit back and let people have the ball, and we wanted to dominate everything. And that's old school US, man. Like, that's talking like Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, where we were okay on the counter going forward and everything. But when you sit back on that ball, man, you need to make sure you don't overcommit players to certain areas, because there were a few times where Belgium's goals where everyone starts to, 3 guys converge on one player, and then 1 guy gets out of it, and then there's a guy open somewhere else. So it's a lot of disciplined defending that really needs to be better. And the question is the 3-back system, like, I thought they should have started the 3-back system. Mm-hmm. Was the 4-back the right one? And then Tim Ream's question, right? Like, just the age and the athleticism. You know, if Chris Richards was healthy, I think he would have started. You know, it would have looked good with Serginho Dest in there. And you're kind of playing patchwork with some of these guys. Like, is Weah the guy? I don't know. No. Like, he's more of a wing back to me. He always has been. I think Weston McKennie, I've always said this, would be a much better right back. And he's played there for Juventus before. So he's got some decisions to make. And I think Pochettino will learn from what happened in this match. But it was a good fight for the first half. I will tell you that.
I will say the first 30 minutes. But what I'm really interested in is, Mila and Dylan, your thoughts on the starting lineup. Matt Turner? Yeah. I mean, Tim Weah right back. Yeah. Cardoso in the middle. What were your thoughts when you saw that lineup?
I agree with a lot of what Brooks said, and I do think there's a lot of positives with the way we started the game. And I was telling Dylan that throughout the entire game. In terms of that 30 minutes that we dominated, we have to take our chances. We just have to convert. Yeah. And I know we all said that McKennie could have done better on one of the shots, maybe two. One of them wasn't a shot, but it kind of just whizzed past him, and he could have gotten something on it.
Yep.
That's where I kind of am disappointed in the lineup. Where if we're just going to be focused on sitting back, soaking up pressure, preventing their middle from doing everything, and then breaking from the wing backs, the fullbacks, then we need to have someone in the center that's going to put their head or body on the ball. And I think with Ajiman on the bench, like he could have totally done that, and we probably would have gotten a goal or two out of it. Yep. So definitely in terms of lineup, I think if we're going to play like that, he needs to be in the center to put his head on or the foot on the end of it, because if we're not going to take our chances, that's when it becomes a problem, because Doku had 20 chances to finally get it right. And once he got it right, there's no stopping him. And that's when you, like what you're talking about, where the disciplined defending, like I agree with you, but it's also Jeremy Doku. And yes, that's our fault for letting him get hot, because he was not. Like, we basically had him stopped, or we were fouling him and frustrating him. Yep. And then once we let him get a little bit of competitive fire underneath him and consistency in his dribbles, like that's where we started having problems. And then I was telling Dylan the whole time, like, you give a KDB the ball, something's going to happen. And I think it was 2v11 for basically the first half. Those two were carrying them. And then we allowed them to get back into the game, which is probably the most frustrating part for me, is that I don't necessarily think that Belgium did anything, or the manager on their end did anything to adjust. It's that we didn't take advantage of our opportunities and let them back in the game, because they're pretty one-dimensional, and they just kept knocking at the door until the door broke down.
Yeah, it's experience. You know, these guys play for big clubs in Belgium. They're, you know, that's the European experience, and that's what this team has to understand. Once you go up, like they did, I was proud of them. When they scored the first goal, they pushed for two, but they just couldn't find it. And then the problem is, you know, their heads didn't drop necessarily when 1-1 came, but you know, it's the moment to step on the opponent's throat and take them out of the match, or make them, put them on their heels even more, that this team needs to understand. And I mean, I was impressed. Pulisic was good today. I thought McKennie was good today as well. You know, there were a lot of players that did a lot of good things. Robinson was good. Weah was good going forward, not necessarily with his 1v1 defending, but it's those learning moments that I think frustrate, especially the big players like Pulisic and the other guys, that we need to capitalize. And if you go, let's say McKennie scores both and we go up 2-0, I'm liking where we are at that point, because maybe Belgium, I don't know, maybe they don't, maybe they take their foot off the pedal a little bit because they know they don't want to push too much, or you know, maybe somehow we get a third one to start the second half. But it's those moments in the final third where a lot of us as domestic American players have struggled, is to score goals in the final third. You know, everything go well from the back third to the middle third, almost to the final third. But if you can't put the ball in the back of the net, there's going to be issues, and you won't advance very far in the World Cup if you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel that we're dependent on moments. And you asked about Matt Turner. I have no idea what he's done to deserve a start. The last 2 games in a U.S. kit, he has conceded 9 goals. Yeah. That's not good enough, man. And look, Matt Freese has not been good for club level. I will say that. We watched him. We're Galaxy fans, so we watched him on opening day, and he was bad. But he's been pretty good. And maybe this was just to see if like maybe we can have a backup keeper in here. Maybe he can do something for you. But when the game is 1-0 and you're in the 44th minute, and there's a shot that is, I'm sorry, he stutters like 5 times before diving to his right, gets a hand on it, which tells me 1, you're not playing with confidence, and 2, you just weren't ready. And it was a telegraphed shot. Like we all saw it coming. Yeah. And he doesn't make the save. And the difference is Lemons for Belgium makes a couple of big saves on the other end. Yep. He had a similar shot with Jedi where he didn't see it, but still made the save. And those 2 moments in the first half where if you go in up 1-0, maybe you frustrated Belgium to the point where you in the next 5 minutes of the first half can go on and win the game. But that doesn't happen. And then I'm sitting here and I have questions like Matt Turner multiple times just parried the ball right into Belgium forwards. Luckily, one was a handball and luckily one was offsides. There's no reason he should start any games. And I don't think that there's anyone in that back line that has confidence in him being good enough at this level. And I don't know. I don't get it.
Isn't he the backup though? Is he not the backup, or do you think that someone else should be? Because let's be very honest. He hasn't put on a U.S. men's national team jersey in a long time. And I think this was the game for Pochettino to go, I need to get him minutes with the team again. I need to see something. And because we're playing Belgium, we're not going to have a lot of possession in the back. We're going to give up possession. So he doesn't have great footwork, right? So we don't need him there. We just need him to stop shots. But I've got to get minutes to a guy who I think is going to be a backup because heaven forbid, the starter goes down minute 1 of game 1 and then you're effed, right? So you got to get him minutes. And I think that was part of the reason with Tim Ream as well. We got to get him in there. Chris Richards is out. But this just didn't work. It did not work. It's a bad look. You've got a lot of unknowledgeable people who just don't know the game very well looking at it going, we lost 5-2. The fans weren't there. The stadium sucked. We couldn't even tell which team was which on the field because they're all wearing the same color on TV. It was a disaster, but I'm going to agree with everything you guys said. The first 30 minutes, USA went out there and played very well, put in a great effort. And then I think Belgium went, hold on a minute. Let's step up the gears. Let's go from second to third. Oh, and by the way, let's use this guy named Doku, who's really freaking good. And they did. And all of a sudden, the game started to shift, right? And then you saw the USA make that change at halftime. They made one change. Cardoso out, Roldan in. Roldan wasn't brought in to go score goals. Roldan was brought in to go help Tim Weah on that right side to defend against Doku. And it didn't work. Unfortunately, Doku just went, great, I'm just going to speed up a hair a little more and outrun 2 guys. And there was no adjustment there. And then it was just downhill from there. I think the USA just went, oh, crap, we're outmatched, outdone, and it was over. But the lineup, I'm more interested in to see the lineup now for our Portugal match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely.
The fact that we had not lost in the 3-back and then we went to a 4-back really, I don't know if that concerns me, but it more just highlights that we don't have depth in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
Like Chris Richards injury means that we are like one of the, I would argue that's one of the worst back lines because you're playing a right winger, a right wing back at right back. And then any good team with a solid left winger is going to do that to you. Yeah. And that's concerning. I will say that the one player that shocked me in this one that hasn't been good at all for the U.S., but then was good, was Cardoso. I thought he had a great game, which I thought this was last chance saloon. So for him to kind of get those minutes and play well, clearly a major shift when he came off. Roldan was not up to speed today, which was very apparent.
Yeah, so, I mean, Christian, I don't know. I wonder if he expected to get thrown on or whatnot.
That's a good point, too.
I would still take that guy. Listen, if he's your 25th player, the last one to make it on from the field players, fine. I would. He can play anywhere. You can put him as a right back or reserve right back if you need to at some point. Just like I want to see Adam Morris play. I do want to see Adam Morris play in the midfield. And if we don't have Tyler Adams, who's the one that's going to take control in the midfield? I thought Tessman wasn't horrible today. I just don't know. When you lose Adams, you just don't have that guy you play through. You know what I mean? And it's just a lot different. And I thought Tillman wasn't bad, but there are some questions. When we talked about this in our Sunday night show, this is what I didn't want. I didn't want just a smacking. I wanted a competitive match. If we lost 2-1, fine. If it was 3-1 on a late goal, okay, fine. Give them a good 75, 80 minutes, right? And, and like Craig said, people that aren't soccer people that understand things, this is not a good look for people. It's not a good look. There's already a lot of stuff going on anyways, with all these cities canceling festivals and all this other stuff going around. It's not good for that. And I still believe Pochettino can fix it. But the question is, if going forward, you don't have Destin Adams for the World Cup, where's the Band-Aid coming? And what formation are you playing that's going to fix that Band-Aid a bit? Because this group has a set of players that do things. Some players, like I was impressed with Pulisic today. He ran around, and he pressed, and he won the ball, and he defended. I have never seen Christian Pulisic do that for the U.S. men's national team. At least he does that a lot for AC Milan. But there are a lot of guys that are very one-sided, or they're not great at a whole bunch of things. They're good at one or two things. And what's the give and take when you put certain players together and then the lineup you play? What's the give and take? Where can I lose something? Where I gain something somewhere? And that's the question Pochettino is going to have to ask himself.
Overarching, pushing this back to you guys, isn't it a little concerning that we're 4 games away and we don't have any clue what our starting 11 is?
100%. 100%. Very concerning. Yeah.
Like, I don't even think I can I thought, and I did a predicted 11. I was like, oh, I think I am starting to get a gist of what this team is. Mm-hmm. And then we came out and did something completely different. And I was like, I don't know if I do anymore.
We had 2 training injuries to probably 2 starting center backs. So I think that's where the big change comes from. And if thankfully this is a friendly, we can try something and see if we're able to do it. And I'm not going to say that after watching that we can't rule that out, because I do think that we could have taken advantage of that game and the game plan. And I think Poch got a lot of it right. But there needs to be adjustments, obviously, and Ream playing in that shouldn't be the case. Like, I think we had a lot against us in this. So I don't fault him for trying it, but it definitely was the wrong personnel. And I think it can come right with this type of formation.
So I guess what I'll push back is, and this has been my point with Ream, is who plays instead of him, right? Richards is a right-sided player, so it was McKenzie. Like, that was the role that's been filled. Ream has started every game under Poch, I think.
No, he got pulled. He got in the November friendlies. It was the one, I think it was the Australia one where he played against Japan or whatever, and he got pulled for the next one.
Okay.
And I don't think he started the next, after that November window, the next one, I don't think he started.
I know he didn't play in the Uruguay game, but I feel like I remember him playing in one of those matches. The thing is he's still there. He's still being featured, right? Which means that there isn't a left-sided center back that's kind of staked their claim here, which I think that's putting a lot of pressure on Noah Kai Banks being our savior, which I don't like either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, look, the kid's got a lot of pressure and he's got to make a decision. But if the current crop, and maybe this is a point of maybe Ream shouldn't have started, and you should have just played another guy and another body, is you got to figure this out. And we only have 1 game to figure that out. That's concerning.
Yeah. So what you can do is Miles Robinson and Chris Richards have played on the right and left side of the center back positions in their careers. Like, you may have to play with a right-sided guy on the left center back spot. That's, and I would trust Chris Richards in that. Again, if you play a 3-back, Tessman can be in the middle because he can follow guys into the midfield. I think he's athletic enough to do that, to make sure they don't turn and everything. And if Miles Robinson's that right center back, if it's a 3 like that, or if it's Chris Richards and Miles Robinson together, those are 2 athletes. You know what I mean? Like, I like that pairing. I don't mind that pairing. The question is, who's the right back or the right wing back? Because if you don't have Dest, and listen, Dest isn't a great defender, but he makes a lot of stuff happen in the final third. Who's the guy that's going to play on that right back or right wing? Like, if it's a wing back, Weah for sure, right? But if it's a 4-back and a right back, is it Scally? Like, Scally's not a bad player, but he does play for Gladbach a lot. Don't get me wrong, not a bad player, but I wouldn't call him an elite right back, in my opinion. I think he still has deficiencies defending a little, or going forward at least. He's not a horrible defender. So what's the give and take there? Who plays on the right side with him? That maybe you just say, hey, let's hang out wide and we'll run at players, and then you'll defend more Joe Scally, or what is it? But I think you can pivot the center backs enough, in my opinion.
Okay.
The question is the overload of the midfielders, because some of them play in multiple areas, just like Weston McKennie that can shoot back to right back, and some of the other guys. Like, that's where you got to start figuring things out and being like, where can I move guys and where do they feel comfortable in these positions? So I think center back can be a fix, and I think Matt Freese will end up doing that. I mean, at least we have a left back that's really good, and we have secured that spot. Usually that's the one we're always like, who's going to play there? And, I feel pretty comfortable with the wingers, with Pulisic, and you put Ajiman or Balogun there. There seems to be something happening there. Tillman's been really good with Leverkusen and playing as a winger, as a 10, that's good. Just the question is, if Adams isn't there, who's the guy that plays in the double pivot? Who are the two? And that's the decision that Pochettino has to make.
Yeah. I want to stick on that Robinson point. That was the first time we've seen him since November of 2024.
Yeah.
How refreshing was that?
Really refreshing.
So good. Mila, what did you see out of Jedi today in his first appearance back?
I think he was like one of the main focal points in that stretch of like 30 minutes going forward. A lot of it came from, like I said, the fullbacks, but mainly him. He's just so good getting in those positions and then making a chance for us. I wasn't too focused on him, if I'm going to be honest, though. I know what he can do. I've watched him enough in the Premier League, so I was watching more so the rest of the players on the pitch.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Craig, did you have any other talking points that you wanted to hit? I know you said you had notes, so let's go through some of those notes.
Listen, a lot of them just high level stuff. Like, I'm really upset with both federations for picking light colored jerseys. I'm going to iterate that again. And as I just quickly scrolled through our Facebook group, multiple posts about that. So get that right. This game is all about making money and being on TV, and all of a sudden they mess this stuff up. Like, get it right. There was a couple of times where passes went astray, and I'm thinking, did Pulisic hit that pass, or did he hit it directly to who he wanted to? But unfortunately, the guy's in a similar colored jersey and he couldn't tell. Yeah. But listen, besides those type of things, down to the individual pieces, we sat back, we were poor. In the second half, you wanted to see a little bit more fight. Now we get people coming out, not blocking shots, not defending, not help defending. So we're getting beat, and you're leaving men one-on-one on an island with some of these guys who are just quicker than anything you've seen. And this can't happen. We're going to happen to come into a game in the World Cup very similar to this. And we're going to be down, and we're going to need to pick ourselves up, and we're going to need to do some help defending, and we're going to need to block shots, and we're going to need to pick our effort up. And today was a test where, okay, we went up 1-0. Great. Okay, shoot. They've equalized right before halftime. What adjustments can we make? Dang, 2-1. Dang, penalty, 3-1. And at 3-1, you go, okay, can we pick ourselves up and keep this close? Because every one of us, if we're being very truthful, if it's not written down, we would have guessed a 2-1 loss or a 1-1 draw. Okay. Mm-hmm. But at 3-1, we all went, okay, yeah, they're putting the screws into us now. Let's just dig our heels in and let's go. Let's see these guys. And we want to see that fight, that Chris Richards, what his mentality of we're a dog in a fight, right? That's the type. And it didn't happen. All of a sudden they went to pieces. Mm-hmm. And it's like, guys, this can't happen. This is letting in an extra goal to make this 4-1 and 5-1 is the difference between qualifying in a World Cup to the knockout rounds. Why didn't we see this? So I'm really interested to see the adjustments that are made, because here comes Portugal in our second game. This is Tuesday, 7:00 kickoff. Same stadium, same poor field, hopefully better jersey, no clashes. But can we dig our heels in against another top 10 FIFA team and say, we're not going to let this get out of hand. We are going to fight. And then everybody who watches and the rest of the people who didn't watch in America can remember that we put in a fight. So forget about that game against Belgium. This is who we are against Portugal. So that's what I'm hoping for. I thought Cardoso played very well. I thought Pulisic was good defensively. Offensively, didn't have enough space, couldn't get any help. I thought Jedi Robinson was great. Tim Ream was deplorable and showed his age. Tim Weah is not a right back and shouldn't be left alone out there. No matter how fast he is, he can't defend people. So,
yeah,
sorry, a lot of negativity from me today. As I said, apologies.
I mean,
I think in terms of like the fight, I think we saw a little bit of it, but it was after the fourth goal and after the subs came on. So those subs, I think if they came during the third, we could maybe salvage something or maybe make it look like more of a game, 3-2, and we're fighting till the end. But for those subs to come on at 4-1, it was just a little too late. But I did enjoy it.
I want to cut you off real quick, and I deal with this. I've got a 12-year-old son, and I coach his team occasionally on things. And I think the U.S. men's national team did something very similar, where they think they're working hard and they think they're fighting, but they're doing it in the wrong areas, right? They're doing it, and I say you're only willing to fight when you've got the ball. It's when you don't have the ball. The other half of the time you don't have the ball. That's where I want to see you fight. That's where I want to see you work your butt to get back and take away space. We saw a couple of things where some fouls and we picked up the ball and put it down and go quick, or we try to get some shots. That's the easy part when you got the ball. When they don't have the ball, and maybe you're right. Maybe if it'd come when we were down 3-1, we put some of those subs on. Yeah, maybe it doesn't get out of hand like it did, right? But man, it's like, guys, you're professionals. Let's go. You're wearing the badge. Start representing.
You're completely right. I just think when the Pepe Ajuman coming on, they worked and they kind of just scrapped to make stuff happen, and stuff happened because of that. But you're completely right. Like the off ball needed to be better. Even just from our leaders, like Tim Ream, like he was just static on 2 of the goals. And that's a big problem. We need to be like actively moving the entire time. So yeah.
One thing my takeaway is I think Max Arfston got super exposed in this game against higher level competition. And I was waiting for when this was going to happen. Listen, he's a good MLS player. Could he probably go overseas and play in a lower league for sure? But I was waiting for when he was going to expose and just burnt by someone. And that goal that he was burnt on, and you give someone that much space at that elite level and you let them dribble inside, especially when you know they're left-footed, and you show them inside, which was horrible to do at first, that those goals happen. So that, like, what do you do with that one? Do you even still consider him? Again, there's a lot of makeshift midfielders that I think you can makeshift around and throw into the outside back positions if you feel like you're weak there, honestly. And I wonder if that's what Pochettino's thinking, in my opinion. I want to see in the next game, I would love to see Morris and Aronson and like 2 hard workers. You got Aiden Morris for Middlesbrough that's fighting in second place right now in the EFL Championship, and then you got Brendan Aronson who plays for Leeds, who's fighting to stay up in the Premier League, and he's been showing it week in and week out. And yes, he's not going to score you a ton of goals, but that's the hard worker we talk about. That's gonna run and dive in and do what's needed on the defensive side and the pressing side. That I think will be a big difference. Question is, where do you play him, right? Is you drop him more in the midfield to play because he's played midfield before? Is he's a winger, you play him? How do you switch it? Is he, do you play him as a wing back? I don't know, because he's athletic enough to get up and down, Do you consider that? I don't know. But I like to see Aiden Morris in there, as a box-to-box midfielder. I'd like to see, honestly, Tillman move back into the 10 because I think he's more natural there. Instead of having him roam around and do so much stuff. McKennie actually was pretty good as a winger on the wide. I mean, dear Lord, Juventus has used him everywhere this year. So, and he's really shown that he can be a player and play different positions. But, he needs to shake up stuff a little bit. I'm curious how much he changes in the next game and how many players like Pulisic and McKennie and everyone he plays, and he tries to fit puzzle pieces together to see what works. But my guess is Tim Ream won't start next match. I'm guessing Mark McKenzie, and I wonder if Austin Trusty actually gets thrown out there just to see what the heck can you do. I mean, what do you got to lose for a young kid that's left-footed, that's athletic? You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to tell you right now, if you thought Belgium was fast, wait till Portugal come in here with the speed. So they're going to have to go with a solid defensive unit and 2 defensive midfielders to sit in front and just take away space, because my God, Portugal are quick, and they are going to expose U.S. men's national team with pace if we don't get this sorted out quickly.
I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see that difference, because I think Belgium is very like, we're going to dribble right at you, and try to beat us. But like you were saying, the speed and in the spaces is where I think Portugal can really, really beat us down. So hopefully no Ream in that situation, because he will get exposed if that's the case.
Yeah.
Really good test both games, because you're talking about two of the greatest creators of the last 10 years, back-to-back games, right? With Bruno and KDB. And those two guys, they just fundamentally change how you play. And I thought that, if anything, if I want to be critical of Poch, I thought that was it. To your Arfsen point, like, he's not a left back. He can never play left back. He's just not good in those one-on-one spaces.
He's
So
not
if
even
you're going to play him,
national team level either. So
yeah, so it's just tough. I think that if anything, I thought this game just kind of confirmed that we're a 3-back team for me. And it's great that we can go to a 4-back at times. Maybe if we want to be a little more direct and we're chasing a goal, getting Jedi and Tim Weah up is good. But I just think that, if anything, we played into Belgium's hand, like essentially giving Jeremy Doku as many one-on-one possibilities, to Mila's point. Like, eventually he will hurt you. And that's like, you shouldn't play that way. You should be playing to limit their strengths, not bolster them. It just felt like a Styles makes fight kind of game, and we lost that at a certain point. And I'm also going to just slightly push back on Pulisic, because he had a chance to make it 2-1. And he sent a ball into row 140 in Atlanta Stadium. And they immediately went down and scored. And it's the equivalent in basketball of missing an open layup and the other team hitting a 3, and then it's a 5-point game.
Yep.
And I hate to say it, but like, the margin in games like this against this type of competition is him. If he is not at the level, if he is not playing at a 10 rating every time we play these teams, we just won't advance very far, because he moves that floor and ceiling for us. He's the only player that's got that ability.
Yep.
Now, can we compete? Sure. But if we had changed the game in those two moments, the Matt Turner moment and the Pulisic moment, who knows what happens? But that's the margin of error that we're working with as a federation and as a country is, if we did just score there, or if we just made a save here, can we be competitive? Yeah. We're not working with a lot. So it's a little, that's really where I'm disappointed.
Yeah. And for me, like, everyone, like, oh, the old guys with Dempsey and Donovan, like, listen, they even admit we're, the kids nowadays coming up are much different players than they were, but fight hard and just willing to battle and just earn everything and understand that you're not going to be given everything. It's just a different mentality. And sometimes they show that this group shows it, and sometimes they completely, I don't want to say completely falter, but they don't understand how to keep it 90 minutes for a game. They show up for 30, they switch it off, they get defeated, and then, oh, we're down, like you said, like 3-1, 4-1. Oh, now we're gonna do something, right? So that's the difference right there. And you'll probably get out of your group stage because 3 people get out. I mean, 3 people get out of the group right now in this World Cup because of the expanded edition. But I mean, it'd be nice to win a couple rounds. Maybe we don't make it to the Final Four, but I mean, I'd love to win a few knockout games, to be honest with you, to get everyone excited and, maybe beat a decent team here and there in the knockout stage, but that makes me worried. We're just going to be one and done after we get out of the group stage, and I don't want it to be that way, but
it's hard. I definitely do fault them a little bit for the lack of effort sometimes, but it's also hard to give them any shtick for that, because like we were talking about at the start of the episode, we as a nation don't go out and support them enough.
Yep.
And that's a lot of where that fight and fire and love for the badge comes from, is the atmosphere of the fans rooting you on. Like, I've seen it plenty in the past couple of weeks in the Carabao Cup final for City. Like, that pushes you forward. Like, it does a lot for the team. So for us to go and like fault them for that, and while also admitting that like we don't do enough to support them, I'm in a weird gray area, because like obviously they should be trying harder and playing harder for the badge, but we need to assist them in that. It's not that's where I think it differs.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, systematic failure. Like, we just don't. We've been bad for a long time, to Craig's initial point in the start, and it hasn't ever changed. So I shouldn't expect change if it's always going to be this crappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough when your federation doesn't put you, in my opinion, doesn't set you up for success either. I mean, you couldn't tell me there wasn't some MLS stadium open somewhere, where you could have put in a 20-25. I mean, someone's away and not playing at home, this weekend, right? That's maybe a decent. That's Florida, or it's warm somewhere. It's not up here where it's cold in Michigan over here, or in the Midwest. But it just looks so much better when it's full of fans and it's only 20,000, and just forget how much money you want, and forget all the greed and how much money you want to make from people. Like, show people that there are a lot of people like us and others that care about this U.S. men's national team and the U.S. women's national team and U.S. soccer, and we want to see it move forward. And there is a beauty to this game and everything, and this can grow in this country. But like Craig kind of said in our group text, it's just, it looks horrible. It looks like we're not ready, or we're not at that point yet, and that's sad.
It's just annoying too, because like it's not that they're throwing money out the window by doing, like, if you build the sport to what it really is globally, then the money will come. But they want like immediate money. They want money now, and it's really it's just frustrating, honestly. Like a letdown from the federation, I think.
It's a good way of summarizing that game, which is frustrating. And so to end this one, what I'm going to say it is what's the one thing you want to see changed ahead of this match against Portugal? And then we'll get on out of here as our reaction. Let's start with Craig, and then we'll go Brooks, Mila, and then I'll close this out.
So the one thing I'd like to see change, so we're playing in Atlanta. Obviously, I'd like to see more fans come out. Obviously, Ronaldo's not going to be there playing Portugal, and he's not playing. So people are going to stay away for maybe because of that reason. But I want to see the U.S. fans get behind this team no matter what. But also I want to see some of the players who are fighting for a spot on the team come out and actually put in the effort in the right areas. And I want to see Pochettino put us in a place to succeed. Don't put us out there testing players. Put us in a place where you're testing players, but we're able to succeed. Losing by a goal to Portugal in a friendly, there's no shame in that. Losing by 3 or 4 goals, you're going to have the same reactions. So we do have games after that, right? Against Germany and Senegal, which those are just going to be kick arounds. No one wants to get hurt. They're kind of useless, but I just want to see us put in the right position here to succeed and show the people who are taking notice of the sport that we are going to be able to take this serious, and come out and watch those games for the World Cup.
Yeah. For me, I mean, like what Craig said, I think there are a lot of soccer fans out there, and I think there are a lot of us that want to see stuff grow in the right direction. I mean, everyone come out and support the team, if you can. They need the support. And I think like Mila, you mentioned, that's what the players feel, and they need that. Changes, I mean, can you contain the high octane guys for Portugal? Can you win your one-on-one matchups and make sure we track runners? Because there's gonna be a lot of a lot of off the ball movement with Portugal and tracking guys. And I would love to see us score an early goal within the first 10 minutes. I think that would be a very good thing, honestly, if we're on the front foot and we can get that done. But just put in the players, like, for me, some of the guys he played, like Balogun, he tried to throw in too many offensive weapons, I think, at one point, and it didn't really make sense or work out. I feel like, like Pepe and Ajiman connect very well. I feel like because they're two different type of players, like that looked good. Balogun was okay. He looked lost at times today. But I would love to see Aronson. I mean, those are the two guys besides the goalkeepers that didn't play were Morris and Aronson. And dang, do you just throw Gio Reyna out there to be like, go on, son, see what you got. Like, he didn't do a whole lot when he came on and as a substitute today, but go on, son. Like, what do you got? Show me that you want to be on this World Cup roster and show me what you can do. And honestly, him and Christian playing together could be very intriguing, to be honest with you. And with Tillman, like they're three very creative players. So fix the back line, put Matt Freese in goal. I'm asking a lot here, but so
yeah. Mila, what you got?
I'm hoping we just don't run the 4-back for this one. I think it'll backfire really, really quickly. That being said, though, it's hard. We're just gonna have to shove players in if we're gonna play a 3 or a 5-back. And then also, I want to see more of Ajman. I think, honestly, just more players that play in the English leagues. It seems to be, to me, the easy connection. They seem to get the physicality. They're putting in a little more effort when they're going in. I'm counting Pepe in this because, or he might be on his way to the Premier League. But yeah, I just want to see more of that fight and that we've been talking about throughout all of this, and I think they can offer that. So hopefully, fight back and more of those types of players.
My only thing is, I honestly thought that we weren't that bad, but just the scoreline is going to really hammer home all the points that you guys made. The one change I need to see is I need Pulisic to be on the score sheet, whether that's getting G and A. He's got 1 assist and no goals in his last 13 appearances for club and country. And that's, like I said, he is our margin for error. And so if he's not firing, we are not going to go very far. And this is a game, right, against a top-level opponent. If you can get kick-started here, maybe he gets kick-started for the rest of the stretch for AC Milan into this World Cup, because if your Captain America isn't playing like Captain America, sorry, like, we're not going far. Yeah. He was the World Cup, that the last World Cup is highlighted by how good he was. And to our point that we've talked about before, he's our best ever talent. I do believe that, but he's got to prove it. And whether that weight is, I don't know, fair or not, I don't know. But I need to see it. And against Portugal, what a headline it would be if USA fix wrongs, Pulisic scores again. Like something like that. That's kind of what I want to see. So that's my only change if I had one.
I like it.
Cool. So you guys, we're so thankful to have you on again, and you guys are doing great work. So I want people to go and follow you and find all your stuff. So go ahead and plug your guys' items, and then we'll plug our show, and then we'll end it.
Go ahead, Brooks.
Well, you can find We Are Soccer. So We Are Soccer Show on YouTube. That's what it's under. And we're also We Are Soccer Show on Instagram, X. We have 2 Facebook pages, the We Are Soccer Network, and then our private We Are Soccer Facebook group. That's a great one if you join it. Lots of good conversations going on in there about everything across the world of soccer. You name it, we're talking about it in that. Our awesome Substack, we write twice a week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, or Fridays. Over 60,000 emails we send it out to. So if you're on a Substack or you want to subscribe to that, head over to Substack. And then just watch out for our interviews Craig and I do. I mean, just did one with the MLS Players Association player and an executive board member, as well as a U.S. Players Association executive board member, talking about the CBA negotiations, and MLS Players Association came out supporting the USLPA, and a lot of interviews with former pro players, current pro players about their soccer journeys, and college coaches, and you name it. Craig's got some good ones he hasn't posted yet, so they'll be coming. One famous guy that worked for Fox that will be doing a lot for Fox this summer. So that's a very good interview. I'll keep that. I'll tease that one there. But we're always doing different types of content, and we love and we appreciate that you guys allow us to come on your show. And for the next game, we need to make sure we do a live stream from ours. So,
heck yeah. Well, like I say, you guys are some of the best in the business when it comes to soccer in the U.S. You guys highlight it in a positive way that I think we've experienced tends to not be the case. People really like to hammer home that the U.S. sucks, and the people that watch that sport suck as well. And that's just not the case. And you guys are a shining example of why. So thank you guys for coming on as always. Mila, do you want to plug one of the shows? I'll plug the other one, and then Fanuk.
Sure. You can plug the Galaxy one.
Okay.
I'm gonna plug Clash of Clubs because I'm having a way better time on that one. We talk about the Premier League mainly. We tend to branch off to the Champions League at times, but it's mainly arguing. If you want to see Dylan, me, or our other co-host Grant lose our heads, probably weekly, maybe multiple times weekly, then check that one out.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year. But what hasn't been interesting but more consistent is our Galaxy podcast, which is just us getting progressively angrier every single week. That happens all the time. That's Clash of Cosmos, and that's me and Mila alongside our friend Dari and Andrew. we do decent work, is what I'll say. And the one thing that we pride ourselves in is shooting it straight. I'm going to tell you if we suck. I'm going to tell you if we're playing good, and I'm going to be as biased as humanly possible in between there. So
I'm gonna tell you who sucks too.
yeah. No, yeah. We don't shoot around the barrel. We shoot straight through it. As we should. As an American podcast, I had to add one shooting reference in there, you know. But that's us. So again, Craig, thank you. Brooks, thank you. Mila, whatever. Hopefully the next episode and the next stream that we do will be a little happier against Portugal. So cool. Thank you guys again. And I'm just going to end it now. Peace.
Peace.
Cheers.